Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the star of our show, Terry.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Music and Me, the podcast where we celebrate the songs, shows, and stories that live rent-free in our heads and our hearts. I'm your host, Terry, and I have a question for you. Have you ever found yourself lying awake at night wondering, what is a Jellicle cat? No? It's just me? Well, whether you're a lifelong theater kid or you've just heard people in unitards singing in rhyme and thought, what on earth is going on? This episode is for you. Today, we're diving into one of the most famous, and let's be honest, one of the strangest musicals of all time. Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. Yes, that musical. The one with the dancing cats, the glittery moonlight, and the song that you've definitely heard, even if you've never seen the show. Yep, we'll be talking about memory. In this episode, we're going to explore the story behind Cats, the music, the wild and wonderful characters, and what makes this show such a legend in theater history. And of course, we'll try to answer that all-important, slightly confusing question, what is a Jellicle cat? By the way, this episode is lovingly dedicated to my own cat, Cuddles, because believe it or not, Cats is her favorite musical. She may not sing along, but she does demand I play it often, and I'm pretty sure she's got a favorite Jellicle of her own. So, grab your cat ears, which is optional but encouraged, and let's get into the curious, poetic, and positively unique world of cats. All right, before we get into the singing cats, magical cats, and cats with names that sound like Victorian poets, let's talk about where this whole thing came from. So Cats was created by none other than Andrew Lloyd Webber, my favorite composer of all time. You know, the guy who gave us Phantom of the Opera, Evita, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, basically the king of dramatic musical moments. But Cats? It's a little different. Instead of a traditional plot with a beginning, middle, and end, it's based on a quirky little book of poems called Old Possum's Book of Practical Cats by T.S. Eliot. Yep, the same T.S. Eliot who wrote The Wastelands. Turns out, he had a silly side. And lucky for us, he loved cats. A lot. Andrew Lloyd Webber took these poems, added a whole lot of music, some intense choreography, and a sprinkle of glitter, and poof. Cats the Musical was born. It premiered in London in 1981 and pounced its way onto Broadway in 1982. And here's the wild part. People loved it, like obsessed levels of love. It became one of the longest-running musicals in both London and Broadway history. At one point, it was the show to see. Before Wicked, before Hamilton, before Elphaba even thought about defying gravity. But the funny thing is, it doesn't really have a plot. I mean, kind of, but not really. Basically, all these cats get together once a year at the Jellicle Ball, and one of them gets chosen to go to Kitty Cat Heaven, aka the Heaviside Lair, and be reborn. That's it. That's the show. It's more like a musical talent show where every cat gets their moment to shine and tell you their life story in song and dance. Think of it as American Idol Cat Edition, but make it poetry. So now that we know where cats came from, it's time to dig into the question everyone asks, but no one ever seems to fully answer. What exactly is a Jellicle cat? Let's find out. All right, deep breath, because we're about to tackle the million-dollar question. What is a Jellicle cat? Well, the answer is no one really knows. Just kidding, but also kind of not. The word Jellicle actually comes from a poem by T.S. Eliot where he playfully misheard dear little cats as Jellicle cats. Yep, that's literally it. He also wrote about political dogs, which came from poor little dogs. And I'm not making this up. The man was a literary genius and a pun enthusiast. So, in the world of cats, a Jellicle cat is a very specific kind of cat. They're not your average nap on the windowsill type. These are cats with personality, flair, names like Bomble Arena and Shimbleshanks, and an annual party that makes Studio 54 look boring. Every year, the Jellicle Cats gather for the Jellicle Ball, a big, magical feline celebration. And at this mystical moonlit meetup, the wise old cat, Old Deuteronomy, he's like the Dumbledore of the alley cats, chooses one special cat to be reborn into a new life in the Heaviside lair. Basically, kitty reincarnation, but make it musical. And here's the thing, no one really knows the role of being a Jellicle cat. They sing about it in the opening number, Jellicle Songs for Jellicle Cats, but they mostly throw out a bunch of adjectives. Jellicles can be black and white, short and tall, quiet and loud, magical, mysterious, and mischievous. So, basically, any cat can be a Jellicle cat, or none of them can. It's totally abstract, totally theatrical, and totally perfect for a show that makes you say, "What did I just watch?" But also clap your hands and hum the songs for the next 3 days. Still confused? Don't worry, you're not alone. I've been confused for years. But let's keep going, because once you meet the actual characters, you'll start to get the picture. Now that we've scratched the surface of what a Jellicle cat is, it's time to meet the stars of the show. And let me tell you, these cats have more personality than a high school drama club during Tech Week. Each one gets their big moment in the spotlight, and every song is basically their personal, "here's why I deserve to be reincarnated" anthem. So, let's meet a few of the most unforgettable members of the Jellicle crew. First up, the Rum Tum Tugger, the bad boy of the Jellicle world. He's loud, he's flashy, he's basically the cat version of a rock star mixed with Elvis and a little bit of Mick Jagger. His song, the Rum Tug Tugger, is a full-on performance. He struts, he poses, he's unpredictable and totally fabulous. Honestly, if he had Instagram, he'd have millions of followers and at least 2 brand deals. Then there's Mr. Mistofelees, the magical cat. He's my favorite cat, by the way. He's got sparkles, jazz hands, and more flair than a Vegas magician. His big number, Magical Mr. Mistofelees, is one of the highlights of the show, complete with dance tricks, light-up costumes, and audience oohs and ahs. He's the kind of cat that pulls off a triple pirouette and doesn't even break a sweat. As I said, Mr. Mistofelees is my favorite cat, and Magical Mr. Mistofelees is one of my favorite songs of the whole musical, besides Memory, of course. Let's not forget Macavity, the mystery cat. Also, the criminal mastermind. He doesn't even show up until later in the show, but when he does, oh boy. He's got his own theme song sung by other cats because he's too busy being spooky and dramatic to sing it himself. Basically, think of him as the James Bond villain of the feline world. He's also one of my favorite cats. I think he's my second favorite cat. I love Macavity. And that song, his song is wonderful. And then we have the heart of the show, Grizabella. She's the former glamour cat, now faded and forgotten. She shows up looking rough, sings a few haunting lines here and there, and then absolutely destroys us emotionally with her big solo, Memory. Yes, that song. It's been covered by everyone from Barbra Streisand to Celine Dion to Jennifer Hudson. It's powerful, it's heartbreaking, and it's the moment where the musical suddenly makes you feel way more feelings than you expected from a show about cats and leg warmers. Memory is my second favorite song of the musical Cats. As I said, my favorite song is Magical Mr. Mistofelees because that one is so much fun. But Memory, it's a beautiful song, and I've heard all the versions of Memory sung by Celine Dion, Jennifer Hudson, and Barbra Streisand. They all do wonderful jobs. Oh, by the way, Tony Award winner Nicole Scherzinger once played Grisabella, as I mentioned in the podcast about Nicole Scherzinger, which I can link in the show notes if you want to go back and listen to it. But since that episode, Nicole Scherzinger actually did win the Tony Award for her performance in Sunset Boulevard. All right, back to the cats. Grisabella's story is all about redemption and second chances. She's been cast out by the other Jellicles, but she still dares to dream. And spoiler alert, by the end of the show, she's the one chosen to be reborn. Because no one hits that high note like Grisabella. These are just a few of the wild and wonderful cats that you'll meet in the show, but there are so many more. There's Shimbleshanks, the railway cat, Bustopher Jones, the fancy foodie cat, and Mungo Jerry and Rumpelteazer, the mischievous duo who causes chaos wherever they go. It's a whole feline variety show, and every cat brings something totally different to the table. Or should I say, the alley. But here's the thing. For all its glitz and glamour and tail-flicking dance breaks, Cats isn't just about showing off. There's a deeper meaning buried under the fur and fog machines. And in the next segment, we're going to talk about why people either love this musical with their whole heart or walk away totally baffled, wondering what they just witnessed. Let's dig into the great Cats debate, genius or nonsense. But before we get into that, here's my interesting fact of the week. Welcome to my interesting fact of the week. Did you know that Cats was one of the first mega musicals to rely almost entirely on dance and spectacle instead of traditional storytelling? It didn't just break the mold, it batted it around like a toy mouse. The original London production used over 3,000 pounds of yak hair to create all those wild wigs, and the performers trained for months to master feline movement, including tail choreography. And here's a fun one. Cats was actually rejected by several producers before it finally made it to the stage. They thought a musical about cats with no real plot wouldn't work. The joke's on them, because it became a global sensation translated into more than 15 languages and performed in over 30 countries. Oh, and that glowing green pair of cat eyes on the poster? Those were originally modeled after Andrew Lloyd Webber's own cat. That is cool. Here's a bonus fun fact. When Cats opened on Broadway, the theater had to bring in a catwalk for the performers to slink through the audience. They redesigned the Winter Garden Theater to fit the show's immersive vibe, with set pieces extending into the seats and actors crawling in full costume between rows. Talk about committing to the bit. Audience members weren't just watching the show, they were practically part of the Jellicle Ball. And now, back to our episode. Welcome back, everyone. All right, let's address the fluffy rhinestone-covered elephant in the room. Not everyone loves Cats. Even me, it's not my favorite musical. It just confuses me every time I watch it, and even when I listen to the soundtrack. I like most of the songs, but it's still confusing, so not my favorite Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. I know, shocking, right? That some people don't like it because it's Andrew Lloyd Webber. But Cats is one of those musicals that people either absolutely adore or leave the theater thinking, what did I just watch and why were they all crawling on the floor? So let's break it down. On the one hand, the fans of Cats, and there are a lot of them, love it for its originality. There's no other show like it. The choreography is mind-blowing, the music is catchy and weird in the best way, and the whole thing feels like stepping into a dream, or maybe a glittery fever dream where everyone just happens to be a cat. For dance lovers especially, Cats is a showcase of athleticism and grace. Those performers are out there leaping, twirling, and crawling across the stage for 2 straight hours in skin-tight costumes, and they make it look effortless. It's basically Cirque du Soleil with whiskers. But on the other hand, let's just say Cats is not for everyone. As I said, it's not my favorite musical. Some people sit through it wondering, why is there no real plot? Or are they seriously singing about a train cat right now? Or, my personal favorite, why is that one cat unzipping their fur to reveal more fur? And then, of course, there was the infamous 2019 movie version. Yes, we do have to talk about that. Despite a star-studded cast, Idris Elba, Taylor Swift, Judi Dench, Jennifer Hudson, the movie was, well, let's just say it gave us all a new appreciation for the stage version. It did for me. The CGI cats haunted our dreams, and not in a good way. But hey, it did introduce cats to a whole new generation, even if it was through slightly terrified giggles. That movie kind of creeped me out, just saying. I did watch it, but it is not my favorite movie of all time, even though Jennifer Hudson was in it, and I love her so much, and she did get to sing Memory. That was the best part of the whole movie. But the CGI cats, they did haunt my dreams. But here's the thing, love it or not, Cats is one of the most successful musicals of all time. It broke records, it toured the world, it made Memory a power ballad for the ages. And even if you've never seen it, odds are you've heard about it, because Cats just has that kind of impact. So whether you're a Jellicle superfan or you're still side-eyeing this whole concept, there's no denying that Cats left a paw print on musical theater history. And speaking of history, let's wrap up with some fun facts and feline trivia that might surprise you, and just might turn you into a fan yourself. Let me give you some fun facts that prove just how persuasive this musical really is. All right, that's my one cat pun for this segment. Maybe. Fact number 1. It was a record breaker. When Cats opened in London in 1981, nobody expected it to take over the world, but it did. It ran for 21 years in the West End and 18 years on Broadway. That's over 7,000 performances in just New York alone. That's a lot of tail flicks and jazz paws. Fact number 2, it made Memory a musical theater classic. Memory wasn't just a highlight of the show, it became a worldwide hit. It's been covered by some of the biggest names in music, and for many people, it's their first and sometimes only introduction to the world of cats. Grisabella really carried the emotional weight of the show on those weary little paws. Fact number 3, the costumes and makeup were groundbreaking. At the time, there was nothing like it. The performers weren't just playing cats, they became cats. Between the elaborate face paint, custom wigs, tail choreography, yes, that's a thing, and those famously skin-tight unitards, Cats set a new standard for immersive costume design. And let's be honest, it made us all kind of want to try on a tail. Fact number 4, it was based on poetry, as I've mentioned before. I still think it's hilarious that one of the weirdest musicals ever created came from a tiny little book of poems by a serious literary figure. T.S. Eliot probably never imagined that his cat poems would one day inspire a Broadway phenomenon complete with fog machines and laser lights. But hey, art takes unexpected turns. Fact number 5, Cats went global. The show has been translated into more than 15 languages and performed in over 30 countries. So somewhere out there, right now, someone is singing about Mr. Mistofelees in German or Japanese. And I think that's kind of amazing. Cats may not be everyone's cup of catnip, but its impact on musical theater is undeniable. It opened the door for more dance-heavy visual and abstract shows. And it proved that audiences were willing to embrace something completely out of the box. Or litter box. All right, that was my last pun. I promise. Now, let's wrap things up with a few final thoughts and a look at why, in the end, Cats isn't just a show about felines, it's a show about second chances. So after all the singing, dancing, purring, posing, and magical midair leaps, It all comes down to this: the Jellicle choice. At the heart of Cats, underneath the glitter, fog, and feline acrobatics, it's a story about redemption, about being seen, about getting a second chance. Grisabella shows up at the Jellicle Ball as an outcast. She's worn down, rejected, and just wants to be part of the group again. And even though the other cats ignore her at first, which is pretty harsh, honestly, she sings Memory, and it's like time stops. In that moment, she reminds us that everyone has a story. Everyone has felt left out at one time or another, and everyone deserves a chance to begin again. So, when old Deuteronomy chooses Grisabella to go to the Heaviside Lair and start a new life, it's not just a dramatic ending, it's a reminder that hope and transformation are always possible, even for a lonely old glamour cat in a tattered shawl. And maybe that's the real answer to what is a Jellicle cat. A Jellicle cat is one who dares to dream, even when the world has forgotten them. And honestly, I think that is beautiful. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this whiskered-filled, toe-tapping, fur-flying adventure through one of the most iconic and delightfully bizarre musicals of all time. So whether you're now fully committed to the Jellicle life and wearing cat ears at home, or are still sitting there wondering, did they really just sing an entire song about a railway cat? I hope you had as much fun as I did. Make sure you follow the Music of Me so you never miss an episode. And if this little trip through the alley left you humming Memory or crawling dramatically across your living room floor, please leave a review. It really helps spread the Jellicle joy. And be sure to tune in next week because we're switching gears and turning up the funk with none other than Earth, Wind, and Fire. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, I'm Terry, and I want you to remember, there's always music in you, even if it's sung by dancing cats and leg warmers. Peace out, everybody. This has been the Music in Me podcast. Subscribe now so you don't miss a beat.